everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fashion Grunge podcast. I am your host, Lauren.
And I'm Jai. Hi.
What's up, everybody? I'm so excited to talk about Fight Club from 1999, directed by David Fincher. I'm super excited. We're going to cut to the chase here because this is one of my favorite films. I don't know, there's probably a billion podcasts about this. So yeah, you're going to hear our take on it.
Yeah, I am very excited.
Are you excited, Jai?
So excited as well. It just feels like it's a big deal to talk about this film, you know?
I know. I was really stressed out about it because I said I want to make this not as long. We're getting a little long, so I don't want to make people bored. But I was like, this film is I feel like you could talk about it for so long. Like, where do we start?
I know. Where do we start? I guess.
But when did you first see it? What's your overall history with it?
Yes, I watched it as soon as it came out in DVD. I watched it. So,
cool.
You think that was maybe 2000?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was out in the cinema in 99, so it must have been around 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of tricky because I feel that watching it with male friends would have been different than watching it with girlfriends, you know?
Oh, I have watched it with male friends.
You did?
I've watched it. I've literally watched this film I'm not even gonna lie, it's over 50 times. I can close my eyes and know exactly what's going on. I've seen it so many times. It's one of those films for me that it's still just as good as when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
I never ever get tired of it. I have watched it in not all male, obviously, but in a college where there are guys there, guys and girls, but guys that somewhat relate to this, but not guys who are the age of the men in the story. I've never watched it with a bunch of guys when I was in my early 30s, when I was 30. I don't think I ever watched it. So I don't know, they were all younger than those guys were. So, obviously they're yeah, this is fucking cool. But they're not adults with jobs and condos and you know what I mean? They don't have that pressure to relate to.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I guess, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
I mean, I think I actually never thought about it until I rewatched it last night. And when I knew I was watching it actually last week, I thought it would have been different if I watched it with male friends, I guess. But I watched it with my girlfriends from school, and I've seen it about 8 times probably.
Oh, okay, that's good though.
And I do love the film. There's so many aspects of it that it's definitely up there with my top favorite films, of all time.
Yeah, it's in my top 10.
But I
don't know that it would quite make it in top 5, but
it
would make it in top 10.
Exactly. Yeah, same. I thought, I was kind of worried, thinking I haven't seen it in at least 5 years, so I thought one day what my reaction to it is going to be not, because also we're doing a podcast on it, you're just kind of scrutinizing the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, it's very different. But it was so fun, and I enjoyed it a lot actually. It was quite late last night when I watched it, but I felt
I watched it last night too. It's good to watch at night.
Yeah, we both texted each other we're about to watch it,
Yeah.
I feel that there's so much happening right from the very beginning, and it's very fast, and you're really into it, and you kind of don't want to miss any detail because everything is just happening,
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually quite interesting. You have so many clues from the beginning, but you don't see them. It's crazy. You don't see all the stuff.
The first go through, I don't think I was. Yeah, I wasn't thinking like that.
No,
no. Some people are it was obvious. I was it wasn't. I mean, it was obvious maybe, but I don't think that you thought it was that kind of film going in, you know?
Yeah. No, I know. But now that you're obviously watching and you know you're going to talk about it, you're okay, yeah, there were so many signs. It's kind of crazy you didn't really see it. But I also love that it's just funny. It's honestly,
it's so funny.
It's not it could never be a comedy, obviously, I don't think. I'm not sure whether people describe it as a comedy, but it has so many funny moments. I
It
like,
could be a dark comedy. It's definitely a dark comedy.
maybe, I guess, I don't know. Um, but it feels that it's just full of really smart lines as well. Like the whole movie is just like, it's just got this like really iconic lines that are just like so smart. But I was thinking, like, yeah, it definitely seems like a total reflection of our time, like when it came out,
Totally.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
and I felt that, well, it's not really that I loved this about the movie, but I feel like Edward Norton or the narrators struggle with insomnia. To me, it's just very spot on. Like, I felt like it's not that I enjoy watching that because it's obviously quite painful, but I feel like I could so relate to that. Like, it's just genuinely like you feel like you're going mad, you know?
Yeah, I knew someone. I have not had it myself, but I knew someone who had intense insomnia, and he had to get like light treatments at the
Oh,
hospital to like actually help his brain like shut off
oh,
because it was like
wow.
really bad. Like yeah, it was getting really bad, and he wasn't on drugs or anything. His parents like thought he was on some kind of drugs, but he wasn't. He just really honestly couldn't sleep, or would have like micro sleeps, which will like really fuck up your brain
Yeah,
apparently.
that's what I had. That
Yes.
it's not that I did like I will stay up for like 70 hours, but it will be like on and off, like close your eyes and you think you're trying to sleep but you can't, or maybe like you only
You're
sleep
not
for
in
like
that deep
half an
sleep.
hour and then you're up and then you maybe sleep another half an hour. But it is like, without exaggeration, like when I was at my worst, like I felt like jumping out of the window because it felt like that, like you're out of, I don't know, out of, like you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like you're so I've had times where my body has been insanely tired, but my mind is awake.
Yeah, super wired.
And
Yeah,
it's like such a painful feeling when
it
you like
is.
want to go to sleep, but you like your mind just won't turn off.
Yeah,
Or the opposite. Or like even the opposite, where like your mind is just like totally done, but your like body is just super charged. Like yeah, they're both just such horrible feelings. I can't imagine insomnia.
yeah, it's pretty, I have to say, for me, it's the worst torture, like, so like form of torture, because
Yeah.
you can't really function and there's so many lines and like times where he describes, it's like you're not really there, you're not really asleep but you're not really
Yeah.
awake. And like I really struggled with insomnia for like good 10 years, like solid 10 years,
Wow.
and I feel like you think, oh, there's so many things that you can try, but actually,
Like pills and yeah, a lot of people take
yeah, there
sleeping
are,
pills
but
and
like I
stuff.
feel like you get into this sort of place where you're like actually like you feel kind of hopeless, like kind of, it's weird. I can't really, you still try to get on with your life, so that's not really an option to just like quit your job or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
but you just figure a way of like getting on with things. But yeah, like I think watching him go through that was like, oh, that was totally like me,
Gosh.
and I totally like sympathize with him, and like you can totally go crazy. But yeah, I mean, obviously that it's just something I could relate. The only thing probably I could relate about the film, because I'm not a dude fighting, so
Yeah,
obviously,
me either.
yeah, exactly.
I
um,
wonder what kind of if I was a guy, I wonder what kind of guy I would be. I I mean, I don't know. I wonder like would I be a part of this kind of situation or would I not? I don't know. Like an
mm,
underground fight thing that just kind of pops up out of nowhere through like some kind of
I
unchecked male aggression.
honestly could not. I mean, I feel like I know you. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say I know you really well, but like, you're quite feisty. Like, if someone pisses you off, you would totally be like, no,
Yeah.
But I think I can't imagine you being the type who like would join a fight
No.
club. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't as a woman. I don't think I would as a man for no reason. Like I feel like if I was defending myself then like fighting okay. But I wouldn't, I think, just because like I want to get out aggression, like go join a boxing gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm like, okay, is it just like the fact that it's underground and like very like consensual and like really homoerotic and just weird? Is that like why they're like all kind of drawn to this? Like possibly. I have no idea. It's just strange. It seems very strange that I love it. Like obviously we'll get into it, but I love it. Like when they do the rules, I'm like, these are all great rules. And then like number 7's like no shirt, no shoes. I was like, this is also another great rule.
Oh my God. I know.
I was like, they're like, thank you, Tyler Durden for, having you shirtless throughout this entire fucking movie.
You're seeing our dreams thanks to this movie, I guess.
I know. I think I sent in the group text the other day, I sent Jules and Jai this like Brad Pitt interview from like a few months ago, and he was talking about like just like what like childhood and like all that kind of stuff. And I think Jules was watching it on her TV, and I think her boyfriend like saw it and was just like, "What the fuck? Like, why do you have to play that shit?" And she's like, "Why? What are you talking about? I'm just watching this." Like this interview, and he's like, he just like totally ruins it for the rest of us. It just like, it's just not there.
Wait, he hasn't seen it?
No, he has, but he's just saying like, you're drooling over Brad Pitt, who's like 56, and like I am even like third of his age, and still he's like better. I thought it was really funny. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, everyone loves Brad Pitt, right?
I know. It's like guys love him too.
Of course. I mean, guys.
He's the guy's Angelina. I think he's the guy's version of Angelina, like that they would honestly be like, we would totally be down for Brad Pitt. Like, I think he'd be the hall pass that all guys would be like, okay with.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. Like, he's just so super cool, but that's funny.
But yeah, so like, obviously, I feel like I'm going to try to make it really short because I don't want to be just like talking, but because these are like overall thoughts, but there is so much. It's literally.
There's a lot.
That part, which is, the film just explores so many different themes, and like the fighting part, like I mean, I just learned this week that the movie inspired fight clubs around the US. Like I was genuinely shocked. Like,
there's one in my high school.
I don't understand that. Like I really just can't wrap my head around that concept of why, because like there's so many things about this film, and somehow that's what men took, like because I doubt it was anything about let's start a revolution and like
it wasn't like fight, but let's also have like these weird kind of like Mr. Robot type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it wasn't anything like that, although that's kind of like a pretty interesting combination nowadays, that like Mr. Robot is definitely like a more evolved technological version of Fight Club.
Absolutely. He is.
Because it's like very much like and one of my I mean like technology or like most 90s notes was like, to think that back then in order to erase the debt of credit cards you have to blow up the building because everything's paper. Now it would just be hacking.
Yeah, like
you wouldn't be physically blowing anything up,
I mean, for sure the writers of Mr. Robot must have been inspired by this film, for sure.
It has to be.
I mean, I wish there was an interview out there or anyone talking about this, but yes, I feel that, the thing that I took about the film that was clearly fighting is a way to reconnect with oneself, right? To bring you back to basics, to realize the system is a trap. The more you work, the more you earn to buy things that you don't need, as Tyler says it. So like, it's kind of like, rebelling against the system and like consumerism and start a revolution, start from zero, all of that. So the fact that men just thought, oh yeah, let's just fight because it's cool. I mean, I don't actually know the thought behind it, but that's clearly what happened in the US. Maybe in other parts, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I was gonna say too, it's also not that I don't know much about this because I'm obviously not a man, but we'll get past that. I'm not a man, so I don't know about this. But I think that from what I'm seeing in like films, that you'll be able to like debunk this theory, is that I feel like in other countries, specifically, well, I'll just talk about England from what I've seen on TV and like movies and depictions, that it seems like fighting is not like here it's like fighting is almost like a legal thing. It's like it can be viewed as assault, but I feel like in like you always see in like the UK, I always see like bar fights and like people just kind of fight and it's not a big deal. Like it's more just like, oh yeah, like this guy said some shit and I like clocked him in the face and like whatever, we got into a bar fight and then like that it's kind of like a whatever thing. Like because here people have guns, like there's a whole lot of like other things here. Like there are bar fights here, but I feel like it's not as like kind of common, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, is that true or is that just like the movies makes it look like there are more bar fights in the UK, or are there more bar fights?
I can tell you that like I've seen one like fight in a bar the entire time.
So
like,
it's not a regular thing.
I think what happens, yeah, it is like for some reason you're right, shown in movies or like shows, but I think it comes more from like people drink a lot. People get, you know, like some people react strangely to alcohol. So like, but then someone might say something, but for the most part, it's not. I think it's in certain parts. This is not. I really don't want to say like as a rule,
certain neighborhood or a certain like area or
probably like some areas in London, yes, people are, you know, like a bit, you know, they can react like, badly to a comment like, I don't know, whatever in a bar, but also in other parts of the UK. But it's definitely more like in Scotland, like it happens more.
Yeah, like in Trainspotting, for instance, they're like, okay, there's another depiction of like in Trainspotting, it's just like Begbie is out of control and just like fucking shit face, starting bar fights. It just makes it seem very much like, and they're like, oh, here he goes again, like he's fighting.
I mean, I only lived. Yeah, I lived in Kent. I never saw a fight. I saw people being completely wasted and being crazy, but not to a point where, you know, it would get that far. And also, the one thing that happens in London, and that is definitely like intense fighting. That's like football matches. You know?
Okay.
That's if your team, people are not gonna like you if they support the opposite team. So once like everyone is drunk and then after the game there's definitely going to be some kind of fight in like you know, like hooligans. They are insane people. That's you know, it's really intense, but I don't think you can really say as a rule like English are more aggressive or they're more
I didn't mean more
I just meant like I just kind of wanted to try to portray like a picture of, you know. But I mean, it totally makes sense, right? If there's alcohol,
I think in films they kind of make it seem like it's like a bar fight kind of thing. I feel like here, because they were fighting in the street, like and those guys were kind of like gathered around. Like I guess guys just naturally like would watch a fight. Like boxing's obviously a big sport.
Oh yeah.
That MMA thing, that UFC thing, like, you know, like fighting amongst men, I think is, and like wrestling and all that, like is a big, you know, thing. Like they just. Guys, I think like to fight. Some of them, not obviously not all, but or like to watch it. So even if they fight, but they're watching these other people fight, so they like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. I felt like how come I never knew this, you know? And this movie is like 20 years old.
Yeah.
I was genuinely shocked, and it was you who told me, you know. I was
like, it was like a thing,
yeah. So I find that really interesting, and so like rewatching it, like I was trying to understand and let's try to see things from a different point of view, you know. Like, I know younger guys, a few young guys that I know. They, funny enough, they actually do boxing, just not professionally, but just as a form of training, just like workout, and they love this movie, but they kind of see it as like, oh, I want to be like him, like cool and like ripped and that kind of thing, and they just see it as like someone to look up to, you know. But no, I don't really think it's on a deep level, as in like that what we're talking about, right? The issues that why this whole thing started, and like how it's more about just the fact that it's a bunch of guys fighting and like someone's gonna win and like they're topless, and it's very kind of like alpha male sort of thing.
Oh, totally alpha.
I guess that's appealing to certain people. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, I mean, but on that note, I'm just gonna say like besides the fighting and everything, I genuinely really love Tyler and Marla's like relationship.
Tyler, narrator Tyler or Tyler Brad Pitt Tyler?
The narrator, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's hard, I guess, to separate. But no, it is true. It's the narrator because I feel like it's almost like kind of kindergarten love,
Yeah,
kind of like you like someone, but you don't want to recognize that you're attracted to that person for whatever reason, so you decide to hate her. I mean, he does have a reason because she's kind of invading, right? Like
she's like totally invading his
but
shit.
I really enjoy the whole dynamic and like kind of the relationship, they have. It's kind of like
that's one of my favorite scenes too.
Yeah, I think
it's like one of their scenes. Yeah.
For some reason, when I was like just reading some articles about it and stuff, no one talks about that. I find like
no, it's very much like a male centric film.
Totally, yeah. But I guess maybe because we're women and we think about these things.
Yeah, I just think Marla's super cool. So I'm like, oh my god, she's so great.
She's so fucking cool, and she is not even like a bad person. She's just like a little nuts, But I think at the end you can see how he genuinely cares about her, But
yeah,
we'll talk about that obviously because I don't want to like say the end, like talk about the ending and stuff. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Overall thoughts, all of that basically for me.
Cool. Okay, well my first thoughts are I saw this in high school. I think it was like 16 when it came out. It was a really big fucking deal. I didn't see it in the theater. I must have rented it because I know I didn't see it in the theater, but yeah, it was a big fucking deal. I loved it. I read the book again after like years later in college. So it was like over 15 years ago. I'm really old. So yeah, I love this film a lot. I've seen it, like as I said, a bunch of times. And I wrote a paper in college comparing Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, which is like about this man who takes this spiritual quest to like kind of rid himself.
Yeah, I read it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So I did a whole paper comparing Fight Club, like the book, to Siddhartha, but I used, obviously the film was out. So I had like, had a fleshed out oral report. I wish I could, we were just talking about this earlier. I wish I could find a copy of what I wrote because I would love to know what my thought about it was. Like what, 12 or no, like 15 years
15
ago?
years ago. Yeah, I think that's really amazing that you wrote I guess you call it paper here, but an essay or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Pretty cool. So I liked that. So I really liked it a lot. This, I believe, was the first time I saw Helena Bonham Carter. I'm pretty sure. And then I have like a few interesting notes. I said, please, more films from books. The book is from 1996 by Chuck Palahniuk. I'm not sure.
Yeah, his last name is.
Yeah, you say his last name. But yeah, it's based in a book. And I said, please, more films from books. No more reboots. There are so many books out there. I don't know why we just can't get more films from books. That was one of my notes. I also have Russell Crowe was supposed to be cast as Tyler Durden.
God, no.
Lord, because I do not like Russell Crowe's acting. So that is, thank God that Brad Pitt is in there. And he got secured for like 17 billion.
I saw that. And can we just like, it's kind of, I mean, I get it, but I think it's really unfair that Edward Norton only got 2.5 million.
He got 2.5, yeah. But Brad Pitt was like a way bigger deal though. Like Brad Pitt had been in like, what was he in? He just done Meet Joe Black, which apparently was kind of dud. So he
it was a big flop, yeah. But he looked really beautiful in it.
He did like Legends of the Fall, Interview with the Vampire,
all in a row. Yeah,
like he was a big deal. So he could probably get, but that's a lot.
Wait, did he do 7 years in the Tibet before this movie came out? Was that like?
No, it could have been like 98, something like that.
I just remember that he had movies out throughout the 90s, like pretty much every year.
97, so yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so he was making a lot of money. He was in Seven, which we also did. Like, he was in a lot of stuff, so I can imagine his quote being pretty high, but fucking 17?
I know.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a big,
like this
big chunk of the budget. Like,
yeah. And Norton had been in like American History X, I think, right?
Yeah, he had just come out, the year before.
And he lost all that weight because he's off in American History X.
Oh my God.
It's like one of my favorite films. But
I know, me too. We have to we have to do that one.
Yeah, that one's gonna be so good. But like I can't believe that he's that thin in this because he's so like muscular in American History X.
Yeah, he said. I think, how did he lose weight? I think he just didn't. He didn't. I can't remember. I don't know if he was just. I don't think he starved himself, but I think
No, because he had like abs. Like even when he was like fighting, like when you see him fighting with his shirt off and stuff, like he's like.
Oh no, he's ripped. But
yeah, he wasn't like super thin. So
whereas Brad Pitt is kind of like.
He's like so thin ripped. He's I was reading or not reading, I was listening to like Henry Cavill talk about like of course they always ask him about like his body and all of his interviews because he's like so jacked and everything for Superman. And then he's in The Witcher, which is on Netflix. It's like some new show he's in. And they were like, so what do you like, like how is it when you have to film all these like shirtless scenes and stuff? And he's like, you don't get water for like such a long period of time because like the more that you don't have water, like your skin gets thinner and like it sticks to your muscles. So it like fasting actually like defines the muscles. So that's how they get people to look like a lot of men. He's like, there's so many tricks that like women don't even know that like we have to do when we do these like shirtless scenes and we're like all buff and jacked, and he was like, and he said, I think he was having no water for such a long time that he said that he got to the point where he could smell water. Like he could smell it because he hadn't had it. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like,
water doesn't have a smell.
No, but I think maybe the moisture in the air, if it's in a closed room because you haven't had it, it's almost like what happens if you were like in a desert. And you were first, like your other senses like will kick on to like overdrive, so you can like sense and smell, like your sense of smell will probably like super heightened because you're trying to like smell food or like smell something that's gonna save you or something. Like he was like, it's really crazy. So he's like, we get like super long days with not even water, like nothing, because water will make you bloat.
That is true.
Eventually, so like I was like, God, that's so crazy. So I wonder if he had to do that, if Brad had to like do something to make his like muscles really like crazy defined,
I honestly don't. I feel like when I was reading about it was more like they both worked out. They both train like these like boxing and all these different types of like martial arts and stuff. But I think Brad Pitt was actually eating. Like he did say, like Edward Norton said in an interview, like, yeah, it was funny because he was just like eating lots of snacks. I was just not eating any snacks, and like he was on the sunbed like a lot.
Brad Pitt loves to eat in movies.
He's always eating.
Always eating.
I know, always.
He answers the phone when the narrator calls him and he's like eating chips. And he's like,
yeah, that is one thing I've noticed about Brad Pitt, and I've been saying this for years, that he's always eating in his movies. Like,
so funny.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, he's just so hot.
He's just so hot. It's like not even fair. The only other note that I have from my overall thoughts were like, God, thank God, Russell Crowe. I wrote my thought on the overall. I wrote a quest to change your life that ends up in like domestic terrorism, which is essentially like what's going on.
Exactly.
And then I wrote, to mention the CNN retrospective on the movies, specifically the 90s episode, really cool. And I wrote, this film came out in 99, which they were talking about so many huge, important films for cinema came out, like American Beauty, Blair Witch Project, The Matrix, Virgin Suicides, Talented Mr. Ripley, like a whole bunch of new artists were coming out and like new directors. And David Fincher was like just starting out, like he'd done Seven. And with Brad, and he also, and then this. Well, he did The Game, I think, in '97.
Oh yeah, which have you watched it?
I'm thinking of The Perfect Game. That's a different film.
Okay, I have to say,
The Game.
I really like it. Like, I really like that film. You should watch it. It's honestly quite good. Like, it's.
Oh, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, it's Michael Douglas. It's a really good story.
I have to see. Oh, with Sean Penn. No, I have not seen this. I'm thinking of something. I think I'm thinking of A Perfect Murder.
You are thinking of yeah. No, this is honestly a really interesting story. Like, I like it a lot.
Cool. Okay,
I kind of want to rewatch it.
Oh, cool. It's Fincher. Yeah, I like Fincher a lot. So cool. I only have a few behind the scenes notes because I mean, there are so many details you can find out about this film.
There's so much.
You literally could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
If you're very interested in cinematography, like YouTube's got a great whole retrospective. I mean, we're gonna talk about what we like, but it's a lot. So the only thing I have was that the Fincher said that it's kind of a coming of age film for people in like Gen X. And he said that there weren't really any kind of like coming of age films about men in their 30s. He's like, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like men in their 30s, like The Graduate, but like for men a bit older.
Yeah.
Like, everything is about, and I think the author said this too in an interview. He said everything's about women. Like women have a lot of stories of like sisterhood and like togetherness and traveling like journeys and all these kind of things. And he was listing all these things, but men don't really have that. He's like, we had this, and then we had there wasn't really like that much in between. It was just like that's kind of like what we had, like Scarface.
Yeah.
Like, Scarface is kind of weird. I mean,
what about Sleepers?
Sleepers, another one. But that's not like that's all like formed around like a shared trauma. Like it's not just like, oh, we're gonna review that one. That's a really good film. What's the other one? I think I wrote it down. Oh, he said that there was either Fight Club or Dead Poets Society.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I did. Only other things that like like showed men like together, like gathered together with like a common interest. So these are two very different films, but kind of show male relationships in a different way. And then it was so weird that the marketing, apparently like Edward Norton said that like they were really scared of the marketing of this film. Like the studio didn't like it. It's kind of had a whole lot of behind the scenes, like kind of flubs. Like they were just scared of it because they thought it was like too dark, too this, too that. So he said that it was kind of like the proto incel movie. Is like unknowingly, obviously we didn't want to make it like that wasn't what their goal, but like that was like kind of the beginning of like this kind of like incel, which is what they like, that's like a buzzword of like a male characteristic. But it's also interesting too to point out that like they don't have any kind of interest in relationships with women either. And at some point, I mean, Marla is in there, but at some point I think they talk about like their fathers and they're like, oh yeah, like, well, we're just a generation of men raised by women. So like, why do we think another woman is like what we're going to need? So like, that's like a new concept because it's usually thought of that you just get married, have kids. Like he was saying, it's like, I call my dad and he's like, what do I do now? And they're like, get a job, get married, have babies. Like you just do what everyone else does. That's why they're like, no. So that was another thing. That was like a new kind of man, almost like a new kind of, woman who would not have a child because it's expected, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, and also I have the author said like this was a new form of like a secondary father when men were like, this is what sometimes like a experience you could go through when like you have a father that you kind of choose and you kind of like emulate, or you like apprentice, or you have a mentor. So this showed that relationship because obviously the narrator like sees something in Tyler and like wants to learn from him. At first he does everything, like, whoa, it's so cool. Like everything he's doing is new,
Yeah, no, that's true. That's
Yeah. Do you have any behind the scenes notes before we get into some of our plot?
I have so much, but like
I know, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk it up.
So when the narrator hits Tyler in the ear, Edward Norton actually hit Brad Pitt in the ear. That was like not fake, because apparently David Fincher kind of whispered to Edward Norton like just hit him for real. And so they just filmed that. That was like his actual reaction. And it's quite funny when you actually...
Funny, yeah, when he actually says like, why'd you hit me in the ear?
He's like, ow! But he's kind of like, yeah, now I get it. It's like, of course, he was real pain,
Yeah, it's like, you hit me in the ear, man.
I know. It was so funny. I can only imagine. Apparently, you can, if you watch that scene again, you can see Edward Norton sort of like giggling a little bit, or like kind of like has a bit of a smirk in his face because he was genuine, Yeah. Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter spent 3 days recording orgasmic sounds for their unseen sex scenes.
Oh, for like, yeah, when he hears them in the house.
They're really intense.
I know,
Like, you hear them kind of like being wild. Yeah, can you believe 3 days recording orgasmic sounds?
Edward Norton said that he was in like the voiceover booth for like a month to get the voiceover right with Fincher.
Yeah, that's insane. I know.
Yeah. But yes,
Um,
orgasm sounds is a lot. Especially when you have to like be in a booth with Brad Pitt and you're not actually doing that. You're just looking at him and doing it. Like
oh
that's
God, I could never. I don't even think I could. I couldn't even stand next to him. I'll pretty faint or say something stupid because I have a big mouth and
I know, I don't know what
yeah.
I that's why people are like, "Oh, do you wanna, like, meet like, would you ever have anyone cool, like, to interview on, like, the podcast?" I was like, "Well, if it ever got that far, the only person that I think I could honestly have a real conversation with and not freak out is."
David Grohl.
No, Keanu Reeves. No, I've met Dave Grohl and I freaked out.
Oh.
Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah.
I honestly feel like, he's so fucking chill.
He is. He's so down to earth, like
Yeah, that
a
I feel like
normal
I wouldn't
human.
be nervous to talk to him. I feel like I would be like Brad Pitt. I probably wouldn't be that nervous because he's really cool. Like Brad Pitt's really funny too. When I see interviews with him, he seems really funny. I don't think I'd have anything to like run out of to talk about. I feel like he could talk about like cool stuff. But then some people that I really, really like I don't know, like I don't think I want to meet Tom Hiddleston. I really like him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't. I'd be like, oh hi. I've seen Jude Law and met him and shook his hand, and he was like a beautiful fucking hologram. That man is gorgeous. It's like out of control. I don't know that I could talk to him. He's also very dreamy. His eyes are very like
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't trust myself because the nerves get the worst out of me. I act in really bizarre ways, and I'm quite frightening. Like I have
right?
done a lot of dumb stuff, like just because I get so nervous. Like
Okay,
yeah,
mental note: when this show blows up, I have to get like Brad Pitt to somehow like surprise you around a corner or something and tape it.
can you imagine?
See
God.
you acting like so crazy and like him just popping around and be like, oh excuse me, can you give me directions? Like just something crazy random where he just pops up and he asks you something like completely like normal and it's about directions or something, or like, is there a coffee shop near here?
Oh yes, please. I'll make you coffee at mine. How about that?
At my house. As your husband's like working from home and you just stroll in with Brad Pitt and you're like, he's here for coffee. He's here for coffee. He's sitting down.
Oh
Shut up.
God, no, that
Doing
couldn't
over
happen. They happen. Come on.
So funny.
Yeah. So, did you know that Courtney Love and Winona Ryder were considered for the
Sure
role
did.
of Violet? That's insane.
And
Like,
Courtney Love was dating Edward Norton, or she might
well,
have broken up with him.
I'm so glad that Courtney didn't get it because I actually feel like Winona Ryder would have played her well. I think.
She might have been pretty good, yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like no one is like Helena Bonham Carter. She's just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And Reese Witherspoon was also asked for the role, but she turned it down because it was too dark.
But she did American Psycho? I mean, she didn't have to do anything.
I know.
Like, she was with this guy who was like a serial killer.
I know, how weird, but I guess.
And she was in Cruel Intentions, although she didn't do anything weird. That was all Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
she was goody.
Either way, I'm glad that she didn't do it,
Oh yeah, totally.
And something
though, which is a really good movie that we should review with Kiefer Sutherland. Actually, someone asked for that the other day. Someone on Facebook was like, "Are you guys gonna do Freeway?" And I was like, "Oh, we should. It's really good. It's like an obscure '90s film with Reed."
I don't know. So I obviously didn't grow up with Rosie O'Donnell, so I don't know what her deal is and how likable, or is she likable as well? But apparently, the Friday that the film was released in the US, she appeared on a TV show and revealed that she has watched the movie and that she hadn't been able to sleep ever since, and that she basically just gave the plot like away. She kind of
told everyone, like on TV or something.
On TV, she gave the plot twist ending in the film like away, and and told the viewers to avoid the movie, to not watch it. Yeah, which is fucked up. Like that
sucks.
I don't know why she did that. I mean, I'm obviously not very familiar with her. I don't know, like
she's like a comedian who had like a talk show in like the 90s, but
how messed up
that it was like Ellen's. It was like Ellen's talk show. It was like very like, whatever, like daytime. But yeah. I can't see her even talking about Fight Club on a TV show.
Well, yeah, apparently Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, and we Fincher actually discussed that on the DVD. Like,
oh shit!
Yeah, and they said that what she did was unforgivable. Like,
yeah, that's so awful.
But imagine, like, if you're watching that, like, I'm sure her show was watched by millions of people.
Yeah, it was like a daytime show. Yeah.
No wonder, like, if you watch, I mean, I still have fucking watched the movie, but it's very sad and kind of like fucked up. Like,
it definitely was like, as we've been reading, it definitely was not a box office hit.
No, which I have to say,
you didn't know that.
I just found that the other day because I grew up thinking that this movie was kind of like one of the, one up there with like some of the most successful movies of all time, because like literally everyone I know loves the film and seen it. So I didn't know that it was kind of more of like a cult classic and that it didn't do that well at the box office. It was a shock to find out. Yeah.
Totally. Do you have any other notes before I get into plot?
I have one actually. Oh, yeah. I like this one. So David Fincher actually asked Radiohead to provide the music score for the film.
I read that. I was like, I wonder if Jai's gonna read this.
Of course, yeah. And Thom Yorke said he couldn't because he was suffering from exhaustion, like because they just been touring and promoting OK Computer.
Could you imagine if they did this?
Granted, they should have.
Brothers is dope. I bought the CD, the soundtrack. I have to say, but dude, could you imagine if Radiohead did it?
I mean, they obviously don't. Yeah, I mean, they are obviously up there already with like.
Have they scored anything? Like any? I know they might have scored their own films, but have they scored like a Hollywood film? Jonny Greenwood does composing, doesn't he?
He does. He does a lot of music for films. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't think I've seen. I've watched some British shows and there's some Radiohead songs in those, but no.
But they're Radiohead. They're not like
scored. They're Radiohead. They're not. Yeah.
Not like what Trent Reznor does. Like he did that.
No.
Score with Fincher.
Yeah, but I thought that was cool, and I was thinking, Thom Yorke, come on, it would have been so cool.
This movie is so intense. Could you imagine the amount of like the work he would have had to have done?
I know.
This movie's pretty intense, and I do love. And I didn't know the Dust Brothers before, so I do love the soundtrack in this, like the instrumental.
It's really good, but you know what? There is one song that is so similar to a track in Seven. It's like, if you watch the scene where Helena Bonham Carter, Marla, is they're at the building, at the office, like on the top floor, and the narrator sees Helena Bonham Carter like being taken in by his men.
Okay.
That music play there is like really intense. That it really sounds like one of the main songs in Seven.
Oh, I'll have to see.
Well, watch it. Just rewatch that scene and tell me what you think.
Dust Brothers, who scored Seven. I don't know if I wrote it down when we.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess it makes sense, but yeah. Anyway, okay. Plot points.
Yeah, we have some plot points. We're trying to make this a little less crazy. So this film, I decided that I kind of broke it down into what I thought were like the 3 acts of this film. I'm sure they're probably different things, but I love how the first act we meet it kind of, we're starting from the beginning, the end to go back. So we're starting with like the whole gun thing. We're like, what the fuck? Who are these 2 dudes? So then we meet the narrator because he has no name for the entire film until the end. So we meet Edward Norton. He's like typical, like waspy kind of guy, or like not waspy, like a yuppie kind of guy. Like totally has like all this IKEA, like boring 9-to-5 job. He's like like an insurance adjuster, like something crazy. I do love when you see him going through all the different like airports.
I love that too.
Yeah, and it's like the fast cuts of like him going through all the airports, which I thought was pretty cool. And then you see all the like single servings of everything. I like how he's like, yeah, you get like this, everything's like single serving, like just for the time. And then he has like these like single serving friends. Do you talk to people on airplanes like he does?
All the time.
Do you? Oh, yeah. I hate when people talk to me. So bad. Oh God. It's happened to me like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I have headphones. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Well,
oh, that's so
funny. I mean, obviously it's different now because I don't fly solo anymore, and like I'm married, but it's not that I.
Like, did you talk to people like regardless, not like flirting wise?
Yeah, no, I do. Like when we went to Portland, I literally talked to the guy next to me. We were having this long chat, like because Matthew and I didn't sit next to each other for whatever reason on the way there, and this guy was just like we were just chatting like about books and like what we do for a living and everything. It's like I think I just have one of those faces that says like, "Please come and talk to me." Because no, honestly, like, and I also do love a chat with anyone. Like, I love a good chat with a cabbie. Like, every time I get an Uber, I'm like, "How's your day going?" And like, "What time do you start work?" And like, whatever,
Well, I ask one question. I ask, "How's your day going?" And if they just go like, "Hell yeah, okay," like if they don't elaborate, then I don't ask anything else the rest of the time. Because like. I can tell if they wanted to talk about their day, they would be more like, "Oh, it was good. Started at 8." Like they would actually like give me a story and then I could interject and have a conversation. But if they're just like, "It was okay," then I can tell like they're one of those people that doesn't like to talk because I'm also kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I try to like pick up on that. But no, I do not like to talk to people on airplanes. Very rare do I, but I definitely don't because I just don't.
Well, I've had some of the most fascinating conversations with people on planes. Like, imagine flying 11 hours or 10-hour flights. You make friends, and you talk about everything. But yeah, like it's it's
not a 10-hour flight. I definitely do not make any friends. Like, I'm fucking done. Like, I think I was flying from. I think it was Reykjavik to LA or like somewhere or London to LA. And it was like 10 hours or some shit like that. And I was like, this is fucking, I was like, oh God. And I was like so happy to be back in like sun. And much love to everybody on the West Coast right now. It's fucking intense.
Oh my God. Fucking terrible.
And like, I hope everyone's okay. If you're listening out there on the West Coast, we're thinking
thinking of you guys. We have friends there actually.
And in the Gulf, there's a hurricane right now. I think Hurricane Sally.
There's everything. It's basically the world is genuinely upside down.
Yeah, it's really fucking insane. So yeah, okay. So we see him like going through all of his like work trips and everything, and then we see him like in the exit row, and then that's when you like pan over and you see him like Brad Pitt's like talking about, or Tyler. We come to find him as Tyler Durden wearing this amazing like 70s porno
totally
fucking leather suit.
Yep.
With, like, weird like polyester pants and like a floral lounge shirt and like really crazy hair. Like his hair is like a peacock.
I know, his hair is crazy. Like
at the top, it's all like
spiked. Only he can pull that off.
And the pink glasses? Does he have the pink glasses? No, not yet.
No, he's got yellow or red. I can't remember.
And he just looks super cool. So we finally see him for the first time. Thank God. And we're like, oh my God. At first and it's just like that. I love their conversation when they first like kind of see each other. And he's just like, oh, and he like, I think like the narrator like makes a joke at himself, and he's like, yeah, I call him single serving. He's like, do you get it? Because it's single. He's like, oh yeah, I get it.
Very like, funny.
Yeah, it's like really funny. Like, it's pretty clever. How's it working out for you being clever? And he's like, okay. And he's like, oh, keep it up.
I love that line actually, because that's kind of this. I don't think anyone will say that to you. That's your inner monologue, like totally. That you have. Like you don't. I mean, has anyone ever said that to you? Like, no. Like that clearly is a conversation he's having with himself.
But you like never know that.
No, you don't. Yeah.
So then they like get off the plane, and another like super funny thing where he's like waiting for his bags, and he's like, "Where are my bags?" And the guy's like, "I'm sorry, when your luggage vibrates, we have people who look after." And he's like, "Vibrate?" And he's like, "Sometimes it's a dildo." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, sometimes it's like a razor, or sometimes it's like nothing, but sometimes it's a dildo." And he's like, "We never want to say it's like your dildo. We just say a dildo." And it's like so funny and weird. And he's like, "I don't own." And the guy's like, he's like on the phone, like, it's okay. So then you see in the back of like the corner of your eye, you see like Tyler like jump into this Camaro and like speed off, and then he like sees him, and he's like, and then you hear the faint in the back, "Hey, that's my car."
Oh my god, it's so funny.
It's so good. So then he like goes back to his condo, and his condo is fucking blown out of the sky. All of his shit's gone. He's freaking out. Only person he knows is Tyler. So I guess we were talking about the insomnia that he goes to the support groups. I guess we forgot to mention that he meets Marla there, but he's like trying to like somehow change his schedule so he doesn't run into her because she's faking too. And this is the only way he can get to sleep, which is fucking crazy and weird, but whatever, do your shit. And so he only knows Marla and Tyler. He's not going to call. I think he sees Marla's number and he's like, "I'm not going to call her." And then he like finds the paper of Tyler's like soap company or whatever the fuck, who has a card, which is just, that's another 90s moment. He pulls out his business card.
And yeah, that's true.
And then when he calls him, he's like, when he's like eating chips, he like doesn't answer, and then he like calls back and he's like, "Yeah, I star 69 you. I never pick up my phone." Another 90s moment. And then he's like, "What's up?" And then he's just like, "Oh, yeah, let's go meet for a beer." And then they meet for this beer, and they're in Lou's bar, which ends up being like this bar they hang out in all the time. And another one of my favorite scenes is when he kind of like, the narrator's just bitching to Tyler how he like lost all of his shit and like these are his material possessions. And then he says one of my favorite things where he's like, "I was close to being complete." Like he feels like material possessions are like gonna complete him.
It's honestly great line after another. Like it's just full of an insane.
Yeah, that whole conversation is just
it's so good.
He's like, "Why do you know what a duvet is? How come guys like us know what a duvet is?" And then he's like, "I don't want like TV with 500 channels and like some guy's name on my underwear." Like all this shit that like totally applies to men. I get it.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of signals we do with like, this is your like strive for perfection. Like this is what we think perfection is, kind of thing. So then of course he has nowhere to stay. So he like awkwardly is like, "Cut the foreplay and just ask. You want to hang out? You want me to like stay at my house?" And he's like, "Can I?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So then he's like, "Yeah, but you got to hit me as hard as you can." So this is it, people. This is where we're starting. So then they get into this like ridiculous fight outside. They really enjoy it. He's now moved into his house, this super dank, dirty house that I would love to fucking shoot in.
I know. Oh gosh.
Cool in. And I also wrote this. I love the concept of being alone in a half a mile in each direction at night when they're doing like golfing.
I know, because it's massive.
And then I wrote, "What is the natural rage of men?" Then it just kind of shows how it progresses. Like more people are going to go to Lou's. It becomes like a thing. And then I have like, that's when he talks about like, we're a generation raised of men raised by women. Then in order to get money, they have to make soap. This is in one of my gross scenes, is when they get that fat from the liposuction clinic.
Oh my god, that is so gross.
So gross, but it's so great and so funny how he like makes this soap just to sell back to the department store, which I find really funny. The second act, I think, kind of starts when the narrator runs into Bob, who's played by Meatloaf, who has these like giant, huge tits.
Wait, before you move on to that, can we just talk about just one scene when Marla makes an entrance?
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot because I was taking notes more from the second act.
Like, how fucking brilliant. Like, that, I love that so much. Like, just what she's wearing, but then she's just there smoking, and he's just the moment he looks at her, he knows she's bad news, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, I can't remember exactly what he says, but something like this chick appears in like cancer or whatever. And then I love that obviously she's been like turning up to all the meetings. And then at one point he's like talking to her and then doing like a therapy there, I guess, where they had to hug. And just before they do that, he asks her like, why do you come? And she says, wait, I want to make sure something like, the coffee's great. It's free coffee. Cheaper than a movie, and there is free coffee.
Yeah.
Like, I love that, you know?
That's pretty cool.
She's just so mental. Like,
and then he's like, you got to get out of here. Like, I need
this.
I need this. And she's like, I can't go to sleep. If I can't cry, then I can't do this. And she's like, Candy Stripe a cancer ward. It's not my problem. And then she just like walks away. And then I love when he goes up to her and she's like, we need to talk. And she's like, and then he says like, you got to switch days. And she's like, I saw you practicing this. Is it going as well as you'd hoped, Rupert?
I know. She's like, so smart.
Their interaction's really funny when they go from that to like her going to the laundromat and stealing the clothes,
and then goes to the vintage shop to sell it.
What are you selling these? Yes, I'm selling some clothes. Anyway, so we're gonna switch all these days up, so we're never gonna run into each other. It's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, because I was trying to like watch and not take notes at the same time, but aside from the support groups, Bob is in the support groups, who's played by Meatloaf.
Yeah. So funny.
I think when he runs into him and he finds out that the Fight Clubs have grown like beyond the basement that he didn't know about, I feel like that's when the second act kind of starts.
Yeah.
Because now he's confused and now he's like, fuck, there's something going on that I don't know about. And now this guy's in it. And he's like, I go Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's supposed to be one night a week. It's supposed to be on Saturdays. And then I wrote, there's another really great like soliloquy that Tyler has in the basement as like the club is growing. And he says like, I've seen a lot of new faces here, and everybody's laughing. And he's like, shut up. Like, you guys have been breaking the first rule. Like, clearly there's a lot of fucking people here, and the first rule is not to fucking talk about it. And then he talks about like, this is more of like really what I think more men identify, like, you're all been told you're going to be like rock stars and movie gods, and you realize you're not, and they have you working to the bone. And then he's like, our great war is like a spiritual war, and it's like which is what we're kind of in right now. We're in like kind of a culture war, and it's like very much defined by like these ideologies. And he says like, we're realizing this fact, and we're very pissed off, which is what like it's almost like the Joker. This kind of runs in the same.
It is, yeah. It is kind of
like that very like angry male rage,
Yeah, I mean, I get that,
So that's like kind of, I think, where the film turns. You're like, oh, okay, he's kind of preaching like something else now. Like, we're now past like just fighting for male aggression, just feeling good and like this camaraderie, and like that's it. It's like then he starts to give out assignments, which I think are great, where it's like start a fight with a stranger. And then that's really funny when you see all of them.
Priest.
Yeah, the priest.
The priest. How funny is that?
So funny. And this is also another of my favorite scenes, is that fucking fight with his boss. The narrator.
That's in my favorite scenes too, and of course it's in yours.
So classic, right?
Because the guy is like watching him, like, what are you doing? And you're
gonna keep me on the payroll. I'm gonna not tell people all these crazy things I know.
And like, how do you play that? Edward Norton did so well.
He choreographed, right?
He was like throwing himself back, and like, it's so good.
And then I also love what he says right there. I am Jack smirking revenge, because he finds these journals in this old house that's written in like the third person of like, or no, the first person out of everyone's internal organ, this guy's internal organ. And it's like, I am Jack Avocado. I am Jack's like this. And he is like, I am Jack smirking revenge. I have more chaotic assignments against capitalism, but more anti-materialism, blowing up corporate art, putting that weird smiley face in the background. And then I have, okay, he's building a cult now. I said, why is he building an army? It's like a religion. Jared Leto makes a little cameo in here.
Of course, he does. And you're right. It does feel very culty.
Very culty, because now we're following this one guy, and we were watching The Vow, and this is how this fucking shit happens. So like they get you in with self-actualization and self-improvement, much like this, and then it ends up being this way more sinister thing that they've gotten you.
Probably they convince you to like commit crimes and everything.
And I was going to say that in The Vow, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about insomnia, that they were talking about one of the things that people do for for cults for manipulation is sleep deprivation. Because when you're sleep deprived, you do crazy shit. I think Charles Manson and them did shit like that too. Like,
oh wow,
and you are like, when you're sleep deprived, you're just completely different because your brain is running on like a totally different.
You are. I can vouch for that.
It's easy to talk people to do things. Like either get them tired, then give them some kind of drug where it's like not a real sleep. It's like a very like, you know, your body's going. It's crazy. Who knows what you could do. Then I have, they're all like, it's so weird that I said it's like a religion now. These guys are moving into the house and like doing that weird shit where they're doing some kind of like weird hazing on the porch where it's like you have to sit here and be abused for 3 days and then we'll let you in.
Oh yeah, it's like a test, isn't it?
Yeah, like all these crazy tests. I do love when they accost that chief of police and they're like, stop investigating us, and they take him into a bathroom and they're like, we're gonna cut your balls off if you don't do this.
I love that too because he's totally unexpected. Like he's like, oh my god, they are part of this too, and then they're like, he's like, I'm not. You don't understand. I am not Tyler, and they're like, yeah, you said you would say that, and they basically able to predict everything he's going to say and do. Yeah.
It's fucking so crazy. I sent you a video of Taking Back Sundays, this band I loved in college. They did a whole video like Fight Club. It's called Cute Without the E, cut from the team. Word up if you know Taking Back Sunday. And then it's after that he kind of sees that Tyler's favoring Angel, who's Jared Leto. So like the next fight they have, he fucking beats the shit out of him.
That's in one of my worst.
Yeah, same. And he's so jealous. And
it's so intense.
This line I wrote, when he says, I felt like destroying something beautiful. When Tyler asked the narrator, like, where'd you come from, psycho boy? And he's like, I felt like destroying something beautiful. And then I said, it's evolved now out of the basement into Project Mayhem. I love the scene in the car where they have that car ride where he's like,
what
you would have done in your life before you die. And he's like trying to get the narrator like to hit bottom. He's like, you don't realize what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to open your mind. I'm trying to help you think in a different way, and you're totally fighting me. You're still fighting me. You're holding this wheel of this car. You're not just letting it go. He's like, you need to know what it's like to let go and not know what's going to happen, and just trust that like shit's going to be crazy and you're going to have a different experience. And I love that car crash too. That car crash, you know how it's slow-mo and you can see Tyler's face, you can see his teeth, you can see like, this reminds me very much, I wrote, of the crash in Romeo and Juliet with Romeo and Tybalt.
Yeah,
and it's in the rain and it's at night too.
Yeah, and I love that scene as well. I feel like even the music that's playing and the suspense of like not really knowing they're gonna. I mean, you kind of know that now, but the first time you watched it, you didn't know what he was going to die or what was going to happen. But I love the converse. I love everything that's said there, and I like how you can see the guys sitting like at the back, kind of staring at each other, and it makes you kind of wonder whether the narrator is just talking to himself. Clearly, he's not talking to Tyler, and he's like having this like back and forth like conversation with himself, and they're kind of like, what's going on? What is he doing?
Yeah.
But you don't know that the first time you watch it.
No. Yeah, because they're both looking like, what the fuck? There's also another scene that's really good when he goes to the guy outside the convenience store and like pretends like he's gonna kill him, but then gets him to like think about his life and like, what do you want to do? I know you don't want to work in this store forever, and kind of like scares the guy into like snapping into like what he wants to do. And then the narrator's like, what the fuck were you doing? Like, why were you holding a gun at this guy's head saying you're gonna rob him? And he's like, you don't understand. I've now like forced him, like the next day is the first day of his life, the rest of his life. Like he's gonna now be so happy that he's alive and he's gonna go to become like a vet like he wanted to. Like that's also another really good scene too.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool scene. I mean, you kind of see what he's doing and you kind of like, I mean, at this point, how do you feel about him? Do you feel torn that like he's doing something like, I guess his ultimate goal makes sense, but it's kind of got too dark.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, at the beginning, I'm kind of like, okay, this is cool. But then it just gets too, it's just too much. Like, it's not, he's kind of lost sight of
this is where it kind of turns. Is this is when like the next day, the narrator wakes up. I love the what he says to the narrator, like what Tyler's like sitting on the edge of the bed, and it's right before he leaves, and Tyler has this like this like kind of long speech. Like I think he knows that he's like there and listening, or like in the in the film per se.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling him like this is like going forward, like it's going to be on like this weird like super highway like of information. It's just everything's going crazy. And then when he wakes up, he finds the house is just like alive and like almost like beating like a heart, like lemmings everywhere, scrubbing stuff, like doing all these like minuscule jobs that he has no idea what's going on. And he's like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, I think he says, I am Jack's sense of rejection. Like
yes, yeah,
out of the loop. Yeah. And then you see Angel all like face all fucked up, and he's like, it's Project Mayhem. Like you don't ask questions. Like we've got it under control. And it's just like it's just insane. Like everyone's just super crazy, wearing all black, doing all their shit. And then Bob comes in, and Bob got shot when they were doing like some kind of like corporate art explosion. And Bob is the guy who was in the support group with him, so he gets shot and died.
Yeah, the cops shot him.
Yeah. Which is crazy. After that, it causes this break, and the narrator's like going city to city, and he's like, I love this montage too, where he's like, he's setting up franchises. That's totally what he said that his dad was doing. Like the narrator says, like, my dad left me and then marries another woman and has kids and just does that every couple years. And then Tyler's like, oh man, fucker's setting up franchises. That's kind of like what he's doing with Fight Club. Like he sees it's all over the country now.
Yeah.
Super intense. And then also when he goes to that one bar and he's like, and the guy's like, and he's like, wait, do you know who I am? And he's like, are you sure this isn't a test? And he's like, no, this is not a test. Who am I? And he's like, you were in here last week. Like you told me like X, Y, and Z. And he's like, what? So he like goes back to his hotel and he's like, oh fuck, this is crazy. And then that's when you hit like the third act, which is like confirmation.
And he calls Marla.
Fucking yeah, and he calls her, and then she's like, Tyler Durden. He's like, what's my name? What's my name? And she's like, Tyler Durden, you fucking crank. I'm coming over.
No, but I love how he's like, have we done it? And she's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And he's like, have we done it? And she's like, what do you mean? Like we made love? It's like, yes, have we done it? It's like, yes, we've done it. And then it's like, what is going on, Tyler Durden? And he's like, oh, it's just so amazing how he finds out.
Say my name.
Say my name. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm coming over. And that's when he like sees him and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, wait, why do people think that I'm you? He's like, come on, you got it. You've got to know it. And he's like, come on. He's like, because we're the same person. He's like, that's right. And he's like, I look like you want to look. I fuck like you want to fuck. I'm smart, capable, and I'm free in all the ways that you are not.
Then you are not. Oh.
And then he's like, this can't be crazy. He's like, wait, but you have all these. He's like, no, you have night jobs because you make soap and you can't sleep. And he's like, you're fucking Marla. He's like, no, technically you're fucking Marla, but it's all the same to her. And then they like show all these different scenes of like, he's like, sometimes you didn't really know whether or not you were seeing me. So sometimes you're still you. And then they show him like by himself, like dropping the beer, like when he gives it to him. And he's like, sometimes you imagine yourself watching me. And then you see all the scenes that like you've seen Tyler in, that he's really there. And he's like, now you see what happened. She knows too much. She's going to compromise our goals of this crazy fucking bombs, like, credit card company shit. And he's just like, I can't do this. I have to let her out. And he's like, we can't do this. We don't have time for this crap. And he like just passes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, now he's just like, fuck, I've got to like find out what's going on. This is another 90s moment where he's like on the phone and like grabbing all these papers off the wall.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Figure all this out on the phone. Yeah, on the phone. And another one of my favorite scenes is when he goes to the cops and he tries to like turn himself in. And he's like, listen, I'm the head of this crazy thing. Like, you need to like
crazy organization.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's like anarchists. Like, we're gonna do all this crazy shit to these buildings, and they're like, okay, this isn't a test? And then like the one chief goes out, and they're all part of it. And they're like, you said you would say that. You said you would come in and like tell us. And he's like, wait, no, I am Tyler Durden, and this is a fucking order. And he's like, they said you would definitely say that. And then he just like, they strap him down, which is so funny.
It's so funny. And then he ends up just in his underwear running running and running like to the
I love
building.
that outfit.
I love that. I also love how he played that scene. The look on his face. He looked like a scared boy. It was really cute.
Yeah, he does.
And he's just like he's on the way running, which is really funny as well.
And I love the scene with Marla in the diner when like he's like trying to tell her to get away. He's like, "You've got to get out of here. Some crazy shit's gonna happen."
Like he's like, "I care about you, and something bad is gonna happen to you if you don't leave town." Like
he's like, "Get on this bus."
I know, and then I love this when she gets on the bus and she's looking at him and she's like, "Tyler Durden, you are the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
I know, and she looks so sad when she says it.
I know,
like so final, just like.
So wait, before we get to the very end, did you know the first time you watched it? Did you know the twist?
I don't.
When did you know?
I don't think so. I think I watched it pretty openly and being like, because I did see the flashes. Like, you know how you saw those flashes when he was.
Yeah, you see, I didn't. The first time I watched it, I didn't see that.
I saw that. But I don't think I put it together.
Well, also, I don't think you could tell exactly that. It's only watching it now, you know it's Brad Pitt, but you don't know it's him. Like the first time, you just see it's a flash, but you don't really, you can't make out.
Yeah,
like,
no, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know. Oh, that's the guy that's right there. When they bring him in later, like I don't know that. But no, I don't think I knew.
I feel, you know what? Like I don't remember. I mean, I don't think I did, but I definitely remember one thing is, you know, when Marla comes to the house and she sees everyone working outside and he's drinking, he's just holding a bottle of alcohol and she's like, who are these people? When, during that scene, because he's like, he's not here. And she's like, who? He's like, Tyler, he's not here. And the look on her face, that's the first sign, like the first thing that made me think, wait, is it possible that's because at this point I was already like, you never see, like he's panicking and he can't see Taylor anyway, and everyone is just looking at him like, why are you acting crazy? Like they were kind of, those two scenes made me think, I wonder if that's him, but I wasn't sure. I thought that there would be like another twist.
Oh, I don't know if I thought that when I first saw it. I guess now that I know, it's kind. I don't remember, but I don't think I knew. I don't think I like put it together. I think I was just watching it like, just watching it, be like, whoa, this is so cool. Like just not really thinking like of the story too much.
Yeah,
I knew it was gonna happen, but you know, because we were like working backwards, so I knew there was gonna be like a gun to his head from that guy, but I could never think that like that would not be him, or like pointing a gun at him.
Well, what I think is crazy is that it was only because of Marla, like because of Helena Bonham Carter's acting in that particular scene, that really made me think, wait, she's looking at him kind of like really upset and confused, and that's the only thing that triggered for me that thought. You know?
There's also another like really weird scene too, where I mean, there's so many, like I feel like we've forgotten a lot of scenes, like when he does the burn on him.
I haven't forgotten because that's in my words.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like there's so many things that we haven't talked about. Like there's just so many.
So much, yeah.
Like all of those weird jobs that he has where he splices like porn into movies.
Oh yeah,
I find really funny.
And then you see that child crying. It's really funny.
They're just like, then he like pisses in that soup at like the hotel.
That's gross.
Yes,
I can't because I've always been terrified of that happening in like a restaurant.
Oh, I know, that'd be so scary.
This is why we're not people who complain or send anything back, because I know
I don't.
What servers are capable. Like anyone that works in you know, in restaurants, they get pissed off and they would do things to food that you don't want to know about.
No, totally not. So then when you get to the end is when he's trying to like prevent this whole crazy shit going on. And then of course we get that end scene where I still don't understand how if you shoot yourself, somehow your other person will die.
I know.
Who knows if we're even supposed to know? I mean, it's just kind of a weird ending. I remember when I watched it, I was like, what? How does that kill him? Like,
yeah, I have to say that is the only thing about the movie that I didn't love. Like, it's because up to that point I'm super happy with everything, but then it's like, first of all, he is kind of pointing the gun up to kind
Yeah.
of his brain, but then suddenly he's like shot his cheek,
It's like
it seems.
cheek out, yeah.
And then not just that, but it keeps getting worse because he's just fucking shot himself in the fucking face, and he's able to speak.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if you look at him closely, he doesn't look that rough, like his face
No.
afterwards when he's like talking to Marla, and then Marla comes in and all his men are like, oh, you look like you need it. Yeah, you need to be someone needs to see you. And she's like, no, it's fine. I was like, okay, this is really like over the top, not believable,
Yeah,
but
this would never happen.
I guess maybe what I like to think is that it was just like a metaphor, really. Like, it's not that he. Well, the thing is, we don't know. We don't know if he really gets rid of him. It kind of looks like he's got rid of Tyler,
but you never know.
You don't know.
Yeah, if you have a psychotic break again, you can create another identity.
Of course.
Yeah, so
we've seen that. Like, we know that happened. So,
but I think he feels complete now. So I think that now that he has Marla and he kind of realizes, like, I love when he's like, you met me at a very strange time in my life. And then we get to like the Pixies.
Fucking epic. Moment, I mean, it's not that I love that scene because it's a bit weird because you see all these buildings collapsing. But it's kind of cool to see them holding hands together, and it's kind of beautiful, like that moment, and then the song comes up,
Really cool.
But do you remember from you read the book? Is that what happens in the book as well?
I think so. The book is pretty spot on. The book. I remember being like, there's obviously some things that are a little bit different, like obviously like some character development and things that like are just a little different, but I'm pretty sure that it ends like that, but I don't know. I honestly have to read it completely over again.
So yeah, I'm just interested to see, like, because I heard that the author was like really quite, he was quite shocked that the movie he just felt like the movie totally did justice to the book, and if anything, it was an improvement of his book. So that's
he didn't write the screenplay, which I think was interesting. It was written by like someone named Jim.
Yeah, apparently he didn't want to, and I'm glad because whoever did it did an excellent job.
Yeah,
like it's so fucking smart. It was a woman, right?
I think it was. I thought it was Jim something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was Jim something.
Well, it's pretty cool. It's pretty smart.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was gonna say, do you have any kind of like theme and mood notes? I have here the cinematographer's name is Jeff Cronenweth. And it's just like, it's classic Fincher color grading. They shot for 138 days, which is really long.
It's crazy, yeah.
100 rolls of 35 millimeter film.
Fucking insane. I know. It's like 200 locations.
Yeah. They shot LA, Century City. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, like, that's like 1,500 rolls of film. That's like 3 times more than the average, right? So that's
insane.
I can't even imagine the editing. God,
yeah, the editing alone, and the movie's like 2 hours and like 20 minutes or something. Like, it's not a short film either, which is why we were like, how are we going to talk about this movie and not be like 3 hours?
No, I know. I think we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well. Yeah, fashion, mood.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, just like,
you
again,
mood notes.
Mood, just like the cinematography is amazing. It's very like David Fincher, like,
yeah, he definitely does that style.
But you kind of see as well, like, not that it's similar, but there are some things that are very similar to like Seven. Like, he does again the color grading is kind of green, a lot of green, and
aqua.
Yeah, and then even that the house that they live in, it's kind of grimy. Like, he obviously likes that, kind of like. I mean, I know it's part of the story, but it really reminded me of that scene in Seven when they go to the guy's house,
I know.
And it's this rundown building, and like he's amazing. And then I just saw Mindhunter, and like he really loves credits, doesn't he? He loves to really invest in the credits
and House of
and
Cards.
make it really interesting. Pardon?
He did House of Cards.
Yeah, of course, but it's very different. You can't really see House of Cards. You can't really see any of his actual style in House of Cards.
I've just barely seen it. I've seen like 5 minutes.
It's very different. I guess it's more polished. I don't know. It's different, I guess. But fashion. Oh my god.
No, there's so many.
Okay. I feel like I can genuinely talk about the fashion for forever, basically, about this film, because
we should actually do a like favorite fashion like movie episode, like a bonus.
Yeah,
we like talk about like all the fashion, because this is going to be like so far.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking so long. We're at like a minute 20 or an hour 20 now.
I know, but
keep it short.
It will be okay.
If you've made it this far, congratulations. We're trying to shorten it up for you, but you know, it's tough.
We're trying. We're not even going off topic that much.
No, we're pretty good. So good.
Yeah, I think what's really crazy about the film is that obviously that you see quite a lot. It's a big cast, but it's only 2 characters that really wear all the incredible outfits. Mm-hmm. And that kind of made it really iconic, which is crazy because Clueless and all these other movies, you have several, like, you've had a lot going on, you know?
Yeah.
Here you have literally Tyler Durden and Marla.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Tyler has got his sort of like this 70s nostalgia sort of vibe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The leather jacket, the Hawaiian shirts.
It was big in the 90s.
It was. It came back totally. Yeah, because you remember Romeo and Juliet, they did the whole Hawaiian shirts as well.
Yeah.
You know? The crop tees with logos and funny prints. He's just like a really bold and flamboyant kind of guy. And I feel like I feel like the styling and like his outfits are very, very much like, you know, it's like his personality. Like no one could pull that off. You know, he can wear anything. He wearing a fucking woman's robe at some point. You know,
amazing Mark Selinger shoot that he did for Rolling Stone during the Fight Club promotion is one of my favorite shoots of all time, where he's wearing all that women's wear.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, so cool. And I think, yeah, I mean, he wears so many incredible outfits. I think like my 2 favorites are like the, you know, that black sugar tank top with like porn prints. It's like, yeah. Because I couldn't tell what it was at first, but then I kind of looked at it closely, and it was like
with porn. The Dickies?
I don't know. It was just, it looked like prints from a porn magazine.
Oh yeah, no, the Dickies pants. They're like blue pants. They're like
the navy trousers. Yeah, navy trousers with that top, and they're quite low, so you really see his abdomen, like his cuts. It's just like, oh god, I know.
Too much.
It's like, I know, yeah, no. I
do love like, that complete outfit when he has the Gucci loafers on and that fur coat.
Well, that's my other one.
In the
fur coat, and then everything else he's wearing like different tones of red or like brown, red. I don't know. And he's got those Gucci shoes. I mean, they're not Gucci, but they look like the Gucci shoes now. You know?
Yeah, they do.
It's really funny because like Matthew was like, "What did you do today? How was your day?" And I was like, "Oh, I did this, I did that." And I was thinking, generally what I did is daydream about Brad Pitt for most of the day, but because I was making notes, you know, but obviously I didn't want to say that because he wants to hear that, you know.
He'll be just like Jules' boyfriend.
Well, he's hearing me from the other room, and he literally heard they'll say something about Brad Pitt, and he texted me and he said, "Are you fucking kidding? You think guys want to be like Brad Pitt?"
Oh my god, really? Oh, he's jealous.
He just texted that like a while ago.
He would trade places with Brad Pitt for like a day. There's no way he would.
I think so. Yeah. But anyway, so okay, his outfits are there, and then Marla. I mean, she has a completely different thing going on. Like, I'll tell you what her thing is. I feel that she's basically like a modern Lydia from Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, she is.
And then meets like 1950s singer or like actress, like Hollywood actress, you know?
Meets like slutty Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
that's what she plays.
Like,
she just has longer hair.
Yeah, like her outfits are so freaking amazing. She's so quirky, so English, and like cool. Like when she's wearing all black with those cool shades and the hat, and then she's smoking, you know, when she makes an entry, and then that pink tulle dress that she says like it's a bridesmaid's dress from a vintage shop, whatever. Can I just say, you will appreciate this. Doesn't that dress remind you of early Molly Goddard's collection?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, was she inspired by this? Because I could swear that she made a dress very similar to that, but in a different color. It was green.
It's still going because that's like her main.
Of course, that's her thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that cool blue sequin dress that she wears, like, I just like literally everything she fucking wears. It's just so amazing. And
that one where she's sitting on that dirty ass floor when Brad Pitt's making the soap, and she's like, "If I go to sleep, I'm done for. You're just gonna have to keep me up all night."
Yeah, I think that's a sequin dress, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah.
Like sitting on the floor as he's like making that soap with that dirty ass fucking stove.
But even when she meets the narrator at the diner, she's wearing this like fur coat, like a black one, and she has this cute cardi, like kind of looks a little sort of metallic color. It's like one button, and she just looks so cool. Also, can I just tell you something that I found out? You know how she wears platforms?
Yeah.
She just wears this like really cool looking like 1940s platforms. The only reason why they decided to put her in the costume designer, who's fucking amazing, Michael Kaplan, he put her on platforms because she's so petite. Remember I told you that she's tiny?
Really small, yeah.
But it's because Brad and Edward Norton are not, they're not like super tall, but they are tall. So she simply had to wear platforms. It was the only way she was going to look like decent, basically. But yeah, like totally, I have to just say that Michael Kaplan, the costume designer, is like, honestly, not that I have a favorite costume designer, or like I had up to this point, but he is up there with like probably the second best, like, or like the top, you know, my top 3 costume designers, just because he fucking did Blade Runner.
I was gonna say, what else has he done? I'm like Googling him now.
Fucking everything. You don't understand. Like, you haven't watched it, you told me, but
I have not. Yeah,
the original
like that Arctic Monkey
Blade Runner from the 80s is one of my favorite films, and the most iconic thing about that movie is the fashion. It's just so fucking incredible. Like, it's insane.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, and he did Seven. He did Diabolique. Have you seen that film? It's good.
Game.
Diabolique.
What's that?
It's it was a 96 movie. It's really fucking cool. I'm surprised that you. Yeah, you should watch it. It's cool. It's what's her name? Shannon Stone or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Sharon Stone. Yeah.
And he's done Star Wars, like the recent
he did, and Star Trek.
Oh, and Star Trek.
So like, he's honestly done. I was like, I can't believe he's the fucking brains behind, like, Blade Runner, both of them, the old one and the new version. So you should really watch that movie, honestly.
Have you seen the Dune trailer?
I don't.
Who was I talking so? I think it must have been Charles. Yeah. Oh my god, it looks really fucking intense. Like, I don't.
Oh, really?
I'll send it to you. I've never seen Blade Runner, but it's like, I think Blade Runner is supposed to be like 2040 something, right? Like the year.
Yeah.
This one, Dune, is like 10,100 and something. Like, that's how futuristic it is.
Okay, no.
And it was the original one was done by David Lynch. That's why I didn't know. I think if you'd seen it, and Cal McLaughlin's in it. Is it David Lynch? Yeah, it
It
is David
sounds
Lynch.
from
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
if
from
I've seen it.
1984, and like isn't like Sting in it? I know Kyle MacLachlan's in it.
Oh wait, no, I have seen it. I have seen it.
Oh, okay, well then this is the new one. I guess it's the same. I don't know if it's
It,
a continuation or the same.
and is David
No, David Lynch isn't doing it.
David Lynch?
It's that
Okay.
Canadian guy. But
Who?
hold on, I'll look it up now. Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, I don't
it's
know.
also like Zendaya, Timothy Olyphant, not Timothy Olyphant,
Oh.
Chalamet,
Oh wow,
Oscar
everyone.
Isaac, Jason Momoa. Like it's a big deal.
Okay.
The trailer
Yeah,
looks
no,
insane.
I
Yeah, it's
haven't.
really good.
But
Cool. Oh yeah, you're still on.
but yeah, so like I think just for that reason and also you can find his sketches online, but if you can look them up,
Oh,
he's
cool.
so fucking talented. Like he's on another level. Like those costume designers that you don't have anymore, because back in the day it was a career. Like that's what you did, you know. Like this guy is so talented. His illustrations of the characters, like Tyler Durden's like character, all the outfits are so amazing. Like all the drawings are
Cool.
really cool. Yeah. So if you can find them somewhere online, you should totally check them out.
Nice.
What about yours?
Let's see. My Tyler, I have the 70s leather and lounge shirts. I love it. The graphic tank and Dickies. I love the camo pants with the floral shirt when he does the soap burning thing. When he
Yeah.
I love that outfit. I love that hustler shirt that you see for a second. It's like mesh.
Yeah.
Another one too.
Sure.
Where I love he has that mesh tank top on.
I like that we have different ones.
Yeah, I
Like
think
the same.
in that might be actually in the hotel room when he has that fur coat on. It's like an orange mesh tank top, and then he has
He's
like the
all orange.
yeah,
And
and he
he's
has,
got the round sunglasses.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also love the pink sweatshirt that he cut into like baseball sleeves, and it says
Yeah, that's really
it says
cool.
"Talk to me" on the front. I love that, and I think he has like blue pants, and it's kind of cropped, so you can see his like obliques there. I like that. I think that was really cool. I love that pink robe. I had a blue one. That was the same one. It was like a really popular like brand. I got it from this department store, and mine had like the moon on it, like different moons on it, and it was blue. And that one had coffee. I remember seeing the pink one with like the coffee cups on it, which is kind of funny. For the narrator, I wrote kind of boring clothes. I do like the late outfit, the trench with the loafers and like those boxers.
Yeah.
I kind of like that outfit. And he has like just a regular shirt on, but it's all sweated through and gross. But I feel like I'm now at the age where I find both of them attractive. And before I was like, Brad Pitt, he's so hot. I'm like, everyone's all right. I'll take him too. Like, he's not bad. He clearly can handle himself in a fight, apparently. Apparently he's been doing this the whole time. But no,
yeah.
in the story, like he's not like a wimp like they make him seem. Like he actually,
I know, yeah.
Brad Pitt, really. And then Marla, I love all those early baggy jackets, the dark dresses. I love that blue glittery dress. I also love when she has that dildo on the dresser and he like shakes it and she's like, "Don't worry, it's not a threat to you." Falls over. I think that's super funny. But she has that outfit on. I love it, and I love when like they're like dancing in the hallway. Like when the cops are like running and he like pulls her into like the hallway and they start.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I feel like I'm just gonna keep being like, oh yeah, that.
Kind of that's the only scene where you see her with Brad Pitt, as in like
just
with Tyler, right?
Yeah. And in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
Like I have to stay up. Yeah. So what about music? We talked about it earlier. That's so crazy that Radiohead was gonna do it. I have that as one of my notes.
I know.
And yeah, the Dust Brothers, so cool.
It is really cool music. I feel like it's so perfect for the movie. I love that there's no lyrics, and the only song with lyrics is the Pixies right at the end.
Yeah,
and I feel like
perfect.
It was kind of an epic ending. Yeah, I just wonder. Like, I'd love to be inside David Fincher's brain, because he anything he does, or his shows, films, are just like another level.
Zodiac's another good one.
Pardon?
Zodiac is another good one.
Oh yeah. No, that's a brilliant film. Yeah.
There's a lot.
So cool.
What are your favorite scenes?
Gosh, okay, I have quite a few.
Oh god, okay. I didn't write that many down.
We talked about it, the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
the narrator's fights with himself at his boss's office. It's fucking hilarious. This, I mentioned it earlier. I really like the sequence where they show like how bad his insomnia is.
Yeah.
I just genuinely felt like, oh yeah, that was me. It's just I really like that. I think they did a really good job. Like he's just flicking through the channel, like the TV, and you're kind of numb. You're just not. You're like I'm a fucking machine. It's you're not really thinking. I like that. I like it when Marla makes an entrance. Like I just love everything about that, but it's just because it's more visual than anything. And yeah, I'll just go through all mine, and then there's not many, just two more. This is not a scene, but it's kind of like, I guess it's a scene, I suppose, but it's not really a lie. I just think it's really funny when Chloe, when he's at that group, and then Chloe is about to go on stage, and she's like, sorry, I know, it's really funny, and he says like, Chloe, she looks the way Meryl Streep's skeleton will look if you made her smile and walk around the party being extra nice to everybody.
That's pretty funny.
It's so funny.
And also when she like begs the whole group to someone to just have sex with her, which is like, I'm so close to the end and I just want to get laid for the last time.
It's so sad. It shouldn't be funny, but
I know.
I wonder what Meryl Streep thought when she watched the film.
I don't know. They like have a hard on for Meryl Streep in that CNN movies thing. They talk about her for like 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, she's so great and this and that and this and that. It's kind of funny.
She's fucking great.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my last one. Yeah, we mentioned it when they're driving in the highway,
in the car,
and Kylie just sort of lets go of the steering wheel. I just love the music that's playing and like just the scene, so like you said, like slow motion. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Cool.
That's it. Those are mine. Ta-da.
Cool. Let's see. My first favorite scene is Marla and the narrator's first confrontation. Where he's just like, why do you do it? And then she's like, I feel like people are really listening instead of like waiting for their turn to speak.
I know.
I just like their whole like first interaction and how it goes from like they go from the place and they go to the laundromat like we were talking, and I love when she stands in the street and the cars like are going past her and he's like, we should change numbers, and she's like, why? And he's like, in case we just switch nights, and she's like, okay, and then she like almost gets hit by the cars when she's walking. And then it's really cool. Yeah, I like how they filmed that. And
I wonder how they filmed that.
I don't know.
It looks is it an actual car, like bus driving?
It looks like it. They did so many special effects for this movie. Like there's so much post-production. Like I think it looks so seamless that I feel like we can't even really tell like what's post-production. It looks so real. Like I can't even imagine they spent that much time on post, but I know they did. But it just seems so like guerrilla and like renegade, but it's actually very thought out and like everything is very like, it's not like Blair Witch Project.
No, exactly.
But it feels like smoother than that, but it still feels, it has that feel to it.
Well, also because back then they didn't have the technology that they have now. So
yeah, but look how good it looks on film though.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. The first fight is one of my favorites when they first fight. And they're like, you hit me. No, you hit me.
It's like a really lame fight.
Like that. Yeah, I like that music too.
Yeah.
I also I love the guided meditation when they're like, step forward into your cave. Step forward through the back door of the room. You're going to find your power animal. And then it's like
penguin.
Yeah. And then the other one was like Marla, and she's like, Sly. Like I like that part. I think that's really
I love that. It is very cool. Very cool.
I like the soap burn. And I love just the way he was like vibrating and like shaking his hand. Like it was so intense. And he's like, I'm gonna find my place. I'm gonna find my place. I'm gonna find my power animal. He's like, no, stop dealing it the way dead peoples do. Like, focus on your pain. Your pain is right here. Like, don't try to like get out of it, be somewhere else. You're missing it. You have to like narrow into it. And he's like thinking about Marla, and then she's like coughs, and he's like, no. And then he's like shaking. He's like, you don't know how this feels. And then he like lifts up his hand and he's like, it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
I know, I love that word, brilliant line. It is true though.
Yeah, it's true. It
really is.
Yeah.
This is why it's a fact, like people who have the list are the happiest.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, it's funny because the chemical burn, it's in my worst scenes.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's so intense, it's like so intense to watch. You're like feeling that pain. I was like,
all my worst ones. Well, my last one is just the realization where he's like, "We've just lost cabin pressure," and then they like,
"Oh yeah,"
and then he's like, "Was I awake or was I dreaming everything?" And when he like tries to walk it back, and he's like, "Oh my god," and he's like trying to like point like figure everything out. But I like when you like just realize, and he's like running back and going back to the house, and then like you see the licenses in the back door. Like there's just so many like super cool elements that you're just like, "What the fuck?" I like
yeah, no, they are. There's just so much. I mean, it's one of those films that from beginning to end is just so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any movie that was like. I genuinely can't like.
And it moves along.
Pardon?
It moves along too. It's not slow.
No, it's not at all. No, of course not. Yeah. Okay, worst scenes.
I'm gonna say all my worst scenes are just all the ones that are fighting and gross and blood and any kind of bodily waste, like the soap, like the soap. And I also, why did he have rubber gloves on when he was open the door?
God, that's awful. Like, why do they need to?
I was like, what's going on?
Well, exactly. You just wonder what's going on that you need a rubber glove. Like,
I really like how when it's like the door is cracked and you can't really see anything, and then you see him like going closer and closer, and then he like opens the door all fast, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
"Yeah, they had some really intense things. Like, you read that. I'm sure you read that somewhere that." They changed one of the lines because it was too much.
Yeah.
I want to have your abortion.
Yeah,
it was meant to be, but she actually said, which is fucking funny because I have to say, when I hear that line, I didn't realize how bad it was either because you don't say that in the UK. So when she said like,
grade school,
I haven't been fucked like that since grade school, I thought that could have been like, I don't know, when you're 14 or 15 or something. I don't know.
No, it's like younger.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah. And so it's funny that Helena Bonham Carter didn't know either. So she actually didn't realize. She was really shocked once she found out what he meant in the US. Because she's English, she didn't know.
She didn't know.
It's just funny, because I felt the same way. I was like, that's not that bad. What do they mean? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Fun. Yeah. And I think the studio originally was like, can we go back to the abortion one? Like, can we go back to that line? Like, I think that's what they were like, worse. The grade school line was worse.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It sounds harsh. Mm-hmm. Like, I want your abortion. Yeah. That's really too much.
Yeah,
but
totally. Oh, yeah, what are your worst scenes? Mine are all just grossy.
Well, the chemical burn, it's just really intense to watch.
It looks really
Angel's face getting beat up. It was just very intense. I mentioned the ending was just, it's not that I didn't like it. I just felt, I don't know. It was
a little anticlimactic, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I think the fact that he shot himself that way and somehow was fine. Mm-hmm. Like it just felt he needed something else, but I feel like they could have come up with a better ending, but I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe more dramatic. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could have done.
But I mean, I loved it, obviously. It's just that is the one thing that I was like,
okay. Would change.
I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But I thought it was sad when Bob gets shot and
I know.
I think that's sad. He's like, no, he has a name,
Robert Paulson.
And everyone's like, Robert Paulson.
His name was Robert Paulson.
Yeah, I like that. But it was sad because I like Bob.
I know. I would do anything for love. The Meatloaf. What are your favorite lines? I think I've said most of mine throughout.
Yeah, there are so many.
There's so many. Yeah, I just have the only one I wrote down was where he says, "I felt like destroying something beautiful." So I think the title of this is going to be "I Am Jack's Smirking Revenge."
I love that. Yeah. I love that. That's brilliant.
So I like.
Yeah, I mean, I like, honestly, there are so many. I love that. That's one of the first ones. Like the things you own end up owning you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think about it all the time. That literally is something that Matthew and I go by. Like the more you have, like, anyway, it's just a tough one. It's a tough one. I love when the narrator says, with insomnia, nothing is real, everything is far away, everything is a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, I like that too.
Like, I love that. And I really love this one. Like, I don't know why, I just find it funny and cool. When Tyler says, you want to make an omelette, you got to break some eggs.
Yeah, that's an old, like, American...
I never heard that.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Never heard that.
If you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs, yeah.
And I really like it when the narrator says, if I did have a tumor, I would name it Marla.
That fucking tourist.
And I know, you're a tourist. And Tyler says,
I need this. Now get out.
I know, it's so good. I love it. I love his acting. He's just amazing. When Tyler says about Marla, she's a predator posing as a house pet.
I know. He's like, I'm not in love with her. It's sport fucking. I was like, okay, calm down.
And I really like it when Marla says, when she's talking to the narrator at the diner, she's like, I mean, so many things I like about you. You're smart, you're funny, and you're spectacular in bed.
But you have severe emotional problems. And he's like, yeah, I know.
What, do you have any more?
No, those are the ones I wrote down. I feel like a lot of the ones that I've seen, or a lot of the ones that I think I probably mentioned in the film are just some of mine.
I know. I just honestly, it's quite long, but there are so many. I really like that sticking feathers up your butt does not make you a chicken. I also never hear that. It's funny.
I haven't heard that one, no. I'm trying to think of so many other, like, funny things. I love when all those cars get all that bird poop all over them. When they feed all the pigeons, when they do that, like, that assignment.
I kind of don't care about that. I mean, I think it's funny that you see, like, them at the Blockbusters, you know?
Yeah, like scanning all the tapes.
We did have, I mean, I rented this film. I went to Blockbuster around the corner to get a movie, and it's just funny, you know?
Yeah, but it's gone.
Yeah. And I really like, I mean, I kind of didn't talk about this, but it is really fucking hilarious that the narrator, like, how he has everything IKEA in his apartment. Like, and he's just like so many others, I have become a slave to the IKEA nesting instinct. And he's like, I flip through catalogs and wonder what kind of dining set defines me as a person.
I think I figured out that he blew up the condo when he was like, so fuck off with your sofas and your string green stripe patterns. I was like, oh, that's what he has in his apartment. What do you think? I blew up your condo. And then he looks at him like, what? I was like, damn, this guy's fucked.
Well, I actually did know that the first time I watched it, because what I thought was going on is that he was doing a lot of things that obviously he says that, right? He doesn't remember a lot of things that he's doing because he has insomnia. So I actually thought he didn't. He just couldn't remember. I didn't know that he had another personality.
Yeah.
But I totally thought that's what happened. Because most of the time when that happens to someone's apartment is the actual owner for the insurance or whatever. You know?
Yeah. Do you have any moments?
Yeah, I do. Okay, let's do one each. You go first.
Okay, mine, I think I also said it was like the physical planning of blowing up the building when now we would just hack. Like you would, that essentially would take everything out.
Exactly. Yeah, which is obviously a lot.
Yeah.
Squatting. I think the whole like squatting, like
like staying in a house.
Well, yeah, like taking over a property and just.
People still do that though. It depends
on who
you're in. Yeah,
but then you
have different ordinances where like people do that.
Okay, let me tell you something.
Doesn't it happen?
Squatting is a huge thing in the UK.
Yeah, I saw that on that reality show. I was telling you.
Yeah, I almost did it with my friend, like in 2007, 2006.
Really?
Because everyone does. I mean, not everyone, but it's a big thing. You can just take a place and then live there until you're kicked out. But I mean, we wanted to do it for a year just to save money, basically.
No way.
Yeah. It was not like I mean, not in a place like that nasty, you know. It's like slightly nicer.
What about the people who own it?
No. They're abandoned. That's the whole point. That's why you get to squat.
Oh, the ones I've seen on this reality show was like people who signed leases and they just like never paid.
Oh no. I'm talking about proper squatting. Like, so you find a property that's empty, that's been abandoned, that it's maybe for, I don't know, like for whatever reason it's not occupied, and you just break in and then leave there.
But what about power and stuff and water?
You can figure stuff out. Yeah, you can do stuff like that. But I actually know a lot of people in East London who definitely done it.
Yeah, on that show I was talking about a lot of the kids they were interviewing, like a lot of people do that.
But it's not like what you picture, filthy, weird, like this, like in a really run down with like rats or anything. It's not like that. You can find really beautiful places.
Crazy.
Yeah, there are a lot in the UK, like a lot.
Oh wow.
And what happened is not even like you do get notified. It's not like you'll get there and then someone took all your shit. It's not like that. It's that you actually get notified that you need to leave.
But what about other squatters? But they don't know it's being. How do they know it's being?
No. This is why you create. You find a group of people, or like you're moving with people who already find a property, and so you know everyone, and it's very organized. Don't worry. It's kind of like they will get a lock in the door and stuff like that. It's
wow. Oh, okay.
But that is like a thing in the UK. In fact, there are programs that they try to take advantage of the fact that a lot of people were doing this, and obviously it's a crime, I guess. But they now, when they have properties that are empty for years, there's a program where you can actually apply to live in this property. But you know from the moment you move in that you could be asked to live in like 4 months, or like
okay,
or you could maybe be there for a year, and it's like they have them all over London because they have so many like empty houses and buildings and stuff. So it's a way of making money as well, but not paying like full rent.
Oh, okay.
As if you were, yeah. So that's, you can sign up and stuff. But yeah, I almost did that in 2006.
Oh, so wow. Yeah. What? Oh, so you said squatting, right?
It's squatting because I feel like it's quite like, I'm sure it existed before, but it definitely was very like big in the 90s, I think, because it was.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What about you?
Another one I just have one more, and it's just all of just the technology, like the phones. Like he's making those calls from the hotel phone, and you know how he's like checking out, and he's like, "I need you to like approve this list of calls." And he's like, "I didn't make this. When were these made?" And they're made in like 2 a.m. Like just the fact that there's like a phone call list. Like now,
yeah,
everyone.
Oh my god, I know.
Like, calls you have to like, you know.
And remember, we used to be given like yellow pages, and I used to be able to find people's numbers that way. Yeah. Like, so cool.
The kids just don't know.
They don't know. It was fun.
It was so hard.
It was so fun.
That's all I have. What else do you have?
Well, I have smoking everywhere.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because Marla is fucking smoking everywhere. She's fucking like smoking at the meetings, at the diner, you know, like.
That's true.
Yeah, that's it.
What you have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, wow, we've reached the end of our show here. We're almost 2 hours, man.
Oh shit! I thought we were gonna do better than this. Oh, no.
I know, it's fine. I hope you enjoy this long episode. Yeah, if anyone has any suggestions on how to make it shorter, or maybe you like these long ones. I listen to some podcasts that are 3 hours. I just take breaks and listen to them. And listen to them like whenever I can. So eventually I get through it. But this is on Fight Club. If you like the movie, you won't mind listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there is so much.
We didn't even get to that much. Like, there's a bunch of shit that I didn't even get to.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, it is like a crazy film. There's so much to talk about.
In fact, I loved it. And I don't know what we're gonna do next. I think we should do a music documentary. I'm trying to get Jules in on. We can.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do Hype.
Also, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, even though I have it in the fucking notes. But just tell all your friends who have Apple just to give us a 5-star. You know, actually tell them to listen to it. But we need reviews. So yeah.
Yes, please.
But yeah, it was super awesome, and it's been great. It's been real. And we'll see.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I'm so glad we've done this film.
Yeah, I know. It was on the list for quite a while.
We didn't even talk about Brad Pitt that much.
We didn't. I mean, we can have a whole episode talking about Brad Pitt. We'll do more movies
Totally.
in a minute too, so it'll be cool. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll have him as a special guest, and he'll pop around the corner and surprise Jai, and we can tape it. That'd be funny. Yeah, so it'll be pretty cool. Oh, I just saw the news that Jim Carrey is going to be playing Joe Biden in the new SNL coming out.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and Alec Baldwin is still doing.
Are you a fan
of Jim Carrey?
Yeah,
I'm a fan of Jim Carrey's dramatic roles. Not as big a fan of like Ace Ventura and stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
same.
So, like Eternal Sunshine, love that film. Trying to think of some other things I've seen.
Yeah, what about the other one that I love? Where he's living in this like fake
Truman Show.
Truman Show.
Yeah,
Truman Show. I love that film.
I've seen parts of it, but I haven't seen it completely.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, you have to.
Cool. Well, I'll add it on the list. I think it's in the 90s, isn't it? Isn't it like late 90s?
I think so.
Or something like that. I'll check it out. Cool. Well, it's been super fun, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, see you. Bye.